Okay, we gotta start this video with this very unique mechanic. Take a look at it.
You have time, Darren. It's okay.
What? What?
What?
Yup, when I first saw this clip, I was like, no way, right? Can the vice wall actually break a deadlock ultimate? I just had to do some tests in a custom game, and in the end I found out that yes, it is actually possible. A very niche mechanic that you're probably never gonna use. But no worries, my friends, in this video I'll go over tons of tips and tricks that you can use a little more often. Like every episode, I'm giving away a battle pass to a random trick submission. So if you know any tricks, feel free to send your tricks in the Lowlander Discord server, link in the description. This week's winner is Pineapples, congrats my friend. And now let's dive into the video with a cool tricky on Corrode. If you go to middle on this map, you will find this crate over here next to a wall. And if you look at it very quickly, you might think that you need to jump from the crate to get on the wall, but this is not the case, my friends. You can simply just walk on the wall, and if you do that, your head will suddenly pop up very quickly. A very weird peak, it's almost as if you're teleporting up, basically like a mole in those whack-a-mole games, so use this trick to get a cheeky kill in middle. And let's stay on the topic of cheeky kills, because here's a cheeky way to counter a Yoru ultimate. Imagine, the enemy Yoru is using his ultimate, you get the blue lines on your screen, so you can probably expect a flash and shorty in your face. How do we counter this? Well, my friends, on short range, what's better than a shorty? Exactly, a judge. The problem though, if you have a judge in your hand and the enemy Yoru is seeing that, he's probably not gonna do the combo, because you will just decimate the Yoru. And that's where we use this cheeky strat. If you notice that the Yoru is walking towards you and you have a judge in your hand, simply stand on a safe spot, switch to your pistol, wait till you hear the flash, and as soon as you see the flash coming up, switch to your judge and decimate the enemy Yoru. This is what Pineapples did in this round, easy peasy kill. And for all the judge mains out there, here's another tricky you can do with the judge. Instead of placing one smoke and stand in the smoke with this weapon, just place two smokes back to back and stand in the small cubby you create. If you do this, there's a high chance that the enemies will think the smoke is clear. They might just walk right past you, and that's how you can get behind the enemy's lines. Well played, Cheese Apprentice.
Whoa.
Did you know this about the Clove ultimate? If you buy normal armor and you die with Clove, then click on that ultimate and spawn again, you will lose all your armor. Not very good, right? So here's the thing that you might want to consider if your ultimate is ready. Instead of buying the usual full armor, go for a regen shield. Because now, if you buy the regen shield and you die, your shield will actually regen again when you pop the Clove ultimate. Especially in the lower ranks, this might give you a huge advantage. Because now, instead of 3 body shots with a Vandal, the enemies will have to do 4 body shots with a Vandal. What makes you a little harder to kill. As a bonus, the same mechanic also works for a Sage ultimate. If you die with full armor, you lose your armor, so sometimes regen might be better than full armor. And let's stay on the practice range, because we need to test something. In last episode I showed that if you pull out your knife, usually your crosshair doesn't move, except if you wear certain skins. Some skins move your crosshair a little bit when you pull them out, and some knife skins don't move your crosshair at all. Well, after making that video, I got many comments of people saying that your crosshair also moves if you pull out the chamber gun. No way, right? Let's find out together if it's true, and yes, actually your crosshair does move. But this got me wondering, if you pull out your chamber gun and your crosshair moves, will you miss the head of the enemy if you shoot too quickly? I did some tests and I found 2 things out. At first glance my answer was yes. Like you see in the background, you sometimes miss the head of the enemy if you shoot too quickly. And I was like, what? This is unfair. Boycott the chamber gun. You'll be inaccurate with this gun. However, then I realized, oh wait, there's something called a first bullet spread. If you shoot with the gun on long range, your first bullet isn't always accurate. Sometimes it moves a little bit away from the crosshair. So I did some tests again, and then I found out, okay, you know what? The reason I missed the head was because of the first bullet spread. So no, in theory, it doesn't really matter that your crosshair moves when you pull out the chamber gun, but still a cool mechanic to know. Let's now move on with the waylay mechanic. Take a look at this clip and you might notice something strange.
Bye.
Oh, je bite.
Yup, did you spot it? Instead of dashing into the corner immediately, Tlopio decided to dash towards the crates first, placed his refract mid-air while in his dash, and then dashed into the corner. A very cool trick that I personally never used, but I will definitely use it when I play Waylay again. Just like this ultimate dash combo. There's almost no counterplay if you're playing middle over it.
All the backside, all the backside.
Also, for those who are wondering, yes, you are able to make the dash all the way over the second wall. Pineapples messed up a little bit, but I will see it through the fingers since you got a kill anyway. Bobber Break, the cat that carries the channel by simply being alive. Okay, let's move on now with a very strange mechanic. Personally, I do know how this mechanic works. I just completely don't understand why this mechanic works. Here's the thing. If you shoot with an outlaw, then switch to your shorty and shoot again, there's a small delay before you can shoot. This makes sense, right? Well, here's the thing you can do to completely ignore this delay. First go to settings, find your ability free button and bind this to your right mouse click. Then go to equipment, find alternative fire and also bind this to your right mouse click. When you've done this, you can pick up Neon, activate your E ability, jump, and as soon as you hit the ground, dash forward. I would recommend to do this before the round starts, because then your ability doesn't go on cooldown. But okay, where you jumped and dash, you basically charge up the double tap, and now if you see an enemy, simply shoot with your outlaw, switch to your shorty, and immediately shoot again. Like you see in the background, there's literally no delay. Now, there's one thing about this combo that bothers me, and that's that this mechanic only works if you jump first and then dash as soon as you hit the ground. Why is that the case? I just don't understand it. If you dash normally, this combo doesn't work. Somehow you need to jump first. I just think it's pretty strange. But yeah, cool mechanic in Valorant. Now it's time to take a small break from the complicated mechanics and tricks to showcase some trick shots. Let's start with a nice kickly kill. Then a nice attack helicopter. A collateral.
One enemy remaining.
And let's end with some very lucky wallbang kills. Back to the tricks now. In earlier episodes we discussed that the Waylay Saturate can slow multiple abilities. For example, the Teho drones. Sadly though, most of the time slowing other abilities is not very effective. Why would you ever use it? Well my friends, Pineapples found a use case, and for it I want you to take a look at this clip.
Oh yeah! Monster on the loose!
Slow down.
Exactly my friends, using your Saturate to slow the Gecko ultimate is a cool way to dodge it. We finally found a use case my friends, whoop 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 whoop. In the end, Pineapple still died in this round, but hey, was a cool tricky nonetheless. About cool mechanics, did you know that if you use the Fate Prowler towards an enemy, but then that enemy dies, your Prowler will redirect to another enemy if another enemy is in range. This might be common knowledge, I don't know, but it's something that I personally didn't know about the Prowler. I always thought that it would just die if the target dies, but apparently not, pretty cool. Enough with the mechanics, let's go for a good old tricky again. When you play with Cypher on Bind, a lot of players would place their tripwires at the start of the round. Makes sense, right? You want to catch the lurkers, so no one gets behind you. However, my friends, because the tripwires get used so early, I've never seen someone use this trick over here. Exactly, placing your tripwires into the teleporter. It's actually genius, my friends. Very underrated trick, and a few seconds later, Fusional got an easy peasy kill.
Caught one! Only I could...
I think this video is missing something, right? The OG viewers might have missed him already. The It's Genius trickies. This time, It's Genius brings you a beautiful wall you can use on Corrode. If you place your wall like this, you can peek at the end of it. And for the enemy's perspective, if they look at the wall, because of the box behind it, it looks like the wall is closed off. And in fact, you can peek behind it and catch the enemies by surprise. Genius didn't only use this trick one time.
Enemy down.
Not 2 times. But 3 times and all easy peasy kills.
Spike down A.
Just be careful for the ISO shield, I guess. Okay, sad news now, this is the end of the video. Big shout out to everyone who submitted the trick. Wanna see another Lowlander video? You can click on the video on the top left. Thank you so much for watching, and I see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.